you had a question about the tips for using technology in your presentation section, and you asked if a student is not good with technology, can they take an online speech class? Or another question also is, can they do a Skype interview for a job? Those are big now. Things are changing, communication is changing, employment is changing, school is changing. A lot of things are online now. A lot of your presenting, a lot of your presentations, your speeches, anything for work are going to be done online. And people are always worried, can I do this? I don't know a lot about technology. Trust me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not good with technology. I only learned it because I'm a teacher and I had to know how to work this stuff. And then I started teaching online and I had to know how to work different programs online. You ask people, you go on to, you look at tutorials, and it's fairly intuitive. I mean, you guys use web courses, right? And at first, did you go, how the heck am I supposed to use this? And now, and maybe after a day, you said, this isn't so bad. That's really how all of it is. So for students who want to take an online class, especially, there's different learning management systems. Web courses that you guys use is one, or it's also called Canvas. Blackboard is another one. You just have to watch some videos about it or ask somebody how it works. And then you really only have to know some of the basic functions to be able to do well. So one of the big things, does anyone have other questions about this section? So I kind of interviewed some people here. And one of the questions was, how should a student prepare for an online speech? Could you guys take a guess how a student should prepare for an online speech? Did you say the same way? Exactly. Prepare the same way. Students think that if it's an online speech, I'll just start talking to the camera and see what happens. You're in for a world of heartache if that's the way you intend to do it, because you're going to have about 30 takes before you get something decent, and even then it's probably not going to be organized or presented the way you would have liked it to be presented. So you still have to practice a lot out loud, organize your thoughts, write that rough draft outline. And for some schools, you do have to have an audience present. For some schools, you don't. So make sure that you practice in front of people ahead of time. Otherwise, you're also going to ruin your audience's day, because they're going to have to watch you do 10 takes of your speech. So the key is to be prepared, and it will actually save you time having presented over and over and over early on. Another thing to keep in mind also is, now, and you guys might encounter this for future job opportunities or internships. If you are being interviewed, maybe via Skype or a webinar service or GoToMeeting, something like that, that's another webinar service, you'll be seated. Don't stand. Don't stand during your interview like you were doing a speech for class. I feel like some people might accidentally do that. You sit down, you dress professionally, you look confident, and you prepare for the interview the same way you would prepare for a face-to-face interview. You just have the, webcam going. That's the only difference.
Yeah. So then, during that kind of interview, do you have to watch out for a specific lighting, like lighting type and background?
Yeah, definitely don't have any background noises. Some people suggest putting a do not disturb sign on your door at home, like interview in progress or something, because you don't want people knocking at the door. If you have, a friend over or something, they go somewhere else. If you have a dog, they need to go somewhere else. Hopefully you have an office setting, or I know public libraries will allow you to rent out meeting rooms by the hour, so you could always do that for a quiet space. So those are some options, but yes, you don't want any distractions. I'm pretty kind with my online speech students. They're like, I'm so sorry, my baby was crying. I'm like, that's okay, I could hear your speech. So, I'm pretty easygoing as far as that goes, but yes, in a professional setting, you must make sure all the distractions are gone so that it's, increases your credibility. Do you have another question about it? You're good? Good, me?
There's no question, I just thought this was interesting. Film yourself from the knees up so your instructor can fully evaluate your postures.
Yes, that's perfect for when you're doing a speech for your speech class online. Film yourself from the knees up, because, and here's a big thing, is look at the rubric the teacher gives you. It's most likely going to have hand gestures and body language on it. Now, if you're just filming your face, how the heck is your teacher supposed to film your hand gestures and your body language and your posture and your confidence? So you must film yourself from the knees up. You don't want to, film yourself so that you look like a tiny, tiny person in the video. They still want to be able to see you. So the knees up is a good indicator. So you can see the gestures, you can see the face well enough, and yeah, you can kind of look at all those components that you're gonna need to when you're grading their speech. Any other questions or things that stood out to you? So, bottom line, yes, you can take, fully online classes, you can do interviews online, you don't have to be tech savvy to be able to do any of this. You just have to prepare for it. And the thing is, the world is moving that way anyway, so for me, I feel like I'm just barely keeping on the right track as far as knowing what things I need to know in the technology arena as an educator. So it's a good idea for students to also kind of see what's going on out there and learn the skills and learn Skype and things like that. So yes, when you do have speeches, when you have interviews, last thing here, make sure that you dress professionally like you would in a regular interview, and make sure that you kind of still get into your character. Practice ahead of time. Don't treat it any differently than you would anything else. And I'll tell you guys last thing, I think I included this here. I had a phone interview when I was in grad school. It was for a teaching job over the summer, and it was a phone interview, my first one. I'd never had a phone interview, I'd had face-to-face interviews. And I took it really casually. As a student, I was probably 23. I wasn't really thinking, oh, I should really be formal about this. I was sitting there in my shorts and t-shirt. I took the phone call, and I didn't really have a lot of good answers prepared. If it had been a real interview, my preparation would have been amazing. But I knew I blew it, and I never got a call back. And so I never made that mistake again. You only do that once. And then you realize, I should have treated that the same way as a face-to-face interview or meeting. So just a little side note for you guys, so you don't make the same mistake that I did.
Yeah, but anyways, you said you were in t-shirts and
But I was on the phone.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but it changes your mindset. Yeah, that's one of the weird things. Sometimes it'll change your mindset, and then you kind of feel more casual, and that's why nerves are important sometimes. That's why I say, when you're nervous, just a little bit for your speech, that helps your performance. Same thing in an interview. If you're not nervous, just a little bit for that interview, you come off as a little lazy, maybe you don't care so much if you get the job. So that's something to keep in mind. Any other questions about this section? Okay, thank you.